childish as they look. The story of Mr. Hare, the hyena, and so on. So and so who did this and that. The elephant being tricked, or the lion being led and sunk into the lake by somebody after telling them some funny stories. Welcome our viewers. Today we shall have a look at African intellectualism as part of our identity series. You know, it has been Africa has been well known for great thinking. In the past, we talk about ancient Egyptians, philosophers, and so on. Such matters are always attributed to Africa. While in contrast, when it comes to the societies, the African societies, there was a time Africa was nicknamed the Dark Continent, meaning there was no wisdom in Africa. It was presumed that we were a primitive, uncultured race of people, meaning we lived like chimps, like the baboons and the monkeys, or rather we are just more like the Stone Age man. This is rather absurd, because further studies and cultural analysis prove that Africa actually had its own form of intelligence. We had our forms of education, which were simply informal. And being informal does not mean zero education. It simply means education that takes on another format. For example, the homestead acts as the school, the fireplace is the classroom. So, were the Africans of that time as reluctant as the Africans of today, or they were a bit more cautious? Are the Africans of today thinking critically the way Africans are expected to think? Knowing very well that we, as per today, Africa has a role of breaking free from the chains of slavery, economic slavery, social manipulation, political subjugation, and so many other factors. We have a role of fighting for our freedom. So this goes hand in hand with everyone bearing the responsibility of being an intellectual, rather than being the belief that you're carefree. When a manipulator makes you carefree, when he convinces you that you're free, when actually your freedom is a myth, it's an illusion. You become just what he wants you to be, and therefore he can easily drive you in any direction. Our ancestors were not reluctant and careless people. We had forms of education, ways of juggling our intellect and jogging our memories and insights. We had oral narratives, the folk tales, the riddles, the legends, the myths, the human tales. These are not ordinary childish stories, as some people may mistakenly think. A great author called C.S. Lewis once said, "One day you'll be old enough to read fairy tales again." So these myths, these legends, these fables and so on, what was their purpose? The riddles here and there, they ask you what is the meaning of this, you answer that, the koi jar and such issues. What was their purpose in Africa here? Were they just for fun, or they were to sharpen our intellect? Do they bring us caution on certain things? When they say snakes are not supposed to be mentioned at night, whispering at night is not good, when you play at night, one insect might enter your mouth and so on. Do not throw a knife at somebody, otherwise your mother may die. Such issues, were they just for the fun of it? Was it just for scaring kids, or there was an intellectual factor behind? That is our concern of today. So in Africa here, we need to embrace critical thinking. One of the techniques that the manipulator has been using is the media. The media sells out other funny cultures which are there to keep us negligent, careless, lazy, and nonsensical, when they themselves, the makers of these things, are prospering, reaping profits and so on. In fact, other sources claim that their big riches and achievements are all built on wealth and minerals stolen from Africa. So it is of the good if they find us lazy, careless, reluctant, and so on. So can we awaken today? Can we read books? Are we reading African literature? Are we reading Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and other great African writers? Are we thinking? Are we being inspired? Shall we have other future writers, or we shall end with those ones? Are we doing research? Are we keeping our intelligence moving? Are our mental cogworks going on the way they should be? So that is our important issue of today. Let us not fail Africa today. Let us realize that we are by no means different from any other human race. In fact, all other races are believed to have originated from a single ancestor who lived once here in Africa, subject to scientific documents. So why would we lag behind? Why would we be called leftovers of creation, as some people have claimed? Why should our countries be called shithole countries, as some people have said? Why should our cultures be termed as barbaric and ignored or neglected by our own? This is very absurd. We need to realize, what does Africa look like in a cultural context? What are our designs? What is our art? What does our literature look like? What are the characteristics of African literature? Because wherever you go, you're going to find unique features of African issues and African items. You'll find out what we sell to the world has its own blueprint. It is unique in its own way and in all ways. Otherwise, thank you for viewing. Let us meet in our next episode.